All right, would like to call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge by the Honorable Johnny Mac Scurry.
Our Father in heaven, we come tonight, God, asking for strength to go forward.
Yes, thank you.
And bless us as we go up the hills of life, on the highway, on the byways. In the sweet name of Jesus Christ, may we all say together, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome all of you here tonight to participate in county government, whether you're here physically or whether you're actually joining us on streaming video. Thank you for participating. Item number 1, additions or deletions. Do we have any items that we need to add or delete?
None.
Hearing none, do I have a motion we adopt the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Mr. Hill. All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 2, ordinance number 1027-21, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax incentive agreement by and among Newberry County, South Carolina, the county, and a company identified for the time being as Project Sunrise, operating company, and a company identified for the time being as Project Sunrise, real property owner, each acting for itself, one or more affiliates and/or other project sponsors, collectively the companies, pursuant to which the company shall be entitled to certain negotiated fees in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to the establishment of certain facilities in the county, the project. 2, and the addition of project to a multi-county industrial park. 3, the provision of certain special source revenue credits in connection with the project. And 4, other matters relating thereto. This is the public hearing. Mr. Tony.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out, and I believe every council member should have received the revised ordinance by email, and the revisions are fairly minor, but I did want to point them out. First of all, the project name is now being given out as DeYoung Electronics. That will be the recipient of the incentives and the industry that's going to be locating. And this is the first time we've announced that publicly. The second change is the land transfer in section 3.05 of the incentive agreement. It was anticipated that that would occur when the agreement was drafted. That has now been completed. In fact, you completed it at your last meeting on November 3rd. So that is reflected in the amended agreement as well. And those are the two significant changes.
Okay. All right, y'all have heard the information. Any additional questions for Mr. McDonald? All right, again, this is the public hearing. Anybody from the public to speak pro or con regarding this? Hearing none, declare public hearing closed. This is the third reading. Do we have a motion to be the third reading? Motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Scurry. Any discussion? Thanks for your explanations, Mr. McDonald. Appreciate that additional information. All in favor of third reading? It is unanimous. Item number 3, ordinance number 112821, an ordinance to amend the budget ordinance for the fiscal year 21-22. Ordinance number 41221 to provide for revised revenue expenditure appropriations related to capital purposes of Newberry County. Mr. McDonald, you have any comments on that, or is that?
Nothing additional, Mr. Chairman. I can answer questions if you would like, but just as a reminder, this is the budget amendment that goes along with the incentive package that you just adopted. So this simply puts the funding in place to implement the incentive package.
Okay. This is the second reading. Do we have a motion? This be the second reading. Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Ms. Arrowwood. And again, thanks for your explanation. I just wanted, because there's nothing more on there for the public who might be looking in for the first time, so at least they know what's going on. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 4, consideration to accept proposal for the comprehensive plan. Ms. Crystal Waldrop, Purchasing Director. I think the rest of this meeting is almost yours, Crystal.
Got a lot here. Okay, let me pull this out. We solicited proposals for the comprehensive plan and the planning services for the required comprehensive plan update, and we received 2 responses, one from the Matheny Burns Group and one from RS3 Planning Collaborative. The evaluation committee consisted of Katie Wirtz, Ron Powell, and myself. The highest ranked firm was the Matheny Burns Group, and that would be who the committee recommends. I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Crystal? Crystal, again, kind of explain the scope of what this is about?
This is the update for our comprehensive plan that is required, I think, by law. Trying to find my solicitation now. Maybe Katie can explain it a little bit more, but it's for the comprehensive plan and the planning services for their department. Sorry, I don't have that.
That's okay. I'm just, again, just for the people that are looking on from the outside, just instead of us just a yes vote and everything.
Wait, I got it.
That's what I was fixing to say. So every 10 years.
It's the 10-year plan update for the comprehensive plan. It's updates to the Newberry County zoning ordinance, prepare a new and updated subdivision regulation ordinance, reviewing plats for the zoning compliance, matters related to Newberry County Board of Zoning Appeals and the County Joint Planning Commission. They will assist the staff on a daily basis on an hourly rate as needed.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions for Crystal or any comments regarding this comprehensive plan? All right, do we have a motion to accept the recommendation? Motion by Ms. Arrowood, second by Mr. Scurry. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, before
Yes,
we
sir.
leave that, I have no objection or comments relative to who we choose to do the comprehensive plan. But I would like for us as a council to, I guess, self-govern ourselves to make sure we do at least an annual presentation of this progress we have made in this 10-year comprehensive plan, because that's not occurring, and this should not be just an exercise we go through. This should be a meaningful process. And so I would like for us to, I don't know how we do that other than just put a marker in our calendar, but we need an annual update on our progress on our comprehensive plan.
It does cross over for 2 fiscal years. They won't complete it this year, if I'm correct. It'll be next year, December 2022.
Well, that's fine. They can give us the progress to date at the end of this year, but then every year thereafter, how we're progressing toward our goals and objectives and so forth.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. All right, item number 5, consideration to accept proposal for the engineering services for the capital project sales tax cost estimates. Ms. Crystal Waldrop.
Okay. We solicited proposals, and we only received one from Alliance Consulting Engineers. So unless council directs otherwise, that's who staff recommends. They've done it in the past. I will say that it's a little bit over budget compared to what we had budgeted, for about $10,000. But if council awards, we can negotiate with them or council's wishes. This would be for the cost
How does-
estimating services.
Crystal, how does this compare to 7 years ago when they did this same service for us?
I think 7 years ago it was 75,000, 72,000.
And the quote this year is
It's 85,000.
considering all other
10
things,
years.
I think that's probably a
Probably
reasonable
Well, when you consider how much gas is cost, labor cost is going up, et cetera, a $10,000 increase or $12,000 increase over a 10-year period, over a 7-year period is probably not unrealistic. All right, with that being said, what are the wishes of council?
I recommend we accept the bid, the single bid, and
All right, second by Mr. Scurry. And I will say, one thing we can say, they have been very much on point and on target with their estimates and doing a great job that we have not had
I do.
the shortfalls or problems that we've had in the initial one. So, okay. All in favor? It is unanimous.
Okay?
All right, Crystal, I consider to accept the bid for debris grinding at the transfer station. Crystal Waldrop, Purchasing Director.
Okay, we solicited bids for this. As you know, this is required to grind the debris that is brought in to the transfer station, and DHEC requires that we keep it ground and mulched up. We received 4 bids. One was non-responsive due to lack of sending in their bid bond. As you can see, the bids are, well, one of them is quite high from American Property Experts. They're out of North Carolina. Their annual bid was $625,000. We asked for a cost per hour on the bid form. The other bids were from M.W. Collins in the amount of $1,500 an hour, and McClam and Associates, which is DS Utilities, for $507 an hour. McClam is within the county, and they are the current ones providing the mulching services now. The initial contract will be for 3 years, and with an option to renew for 2 additional years. According to my calculations and talking with Mike, the bid for American Properties, we grind quarterly. And Mike said we grind about 75 hours per quarter. So that comes out to be about $2,083 an hour if they do that. But it just depends on the amount of debris that's brought into the transfer station as to how many hours they actually grind out there.
that was going to be my question to you, Crystal, is based on Mike's input. Hours is a good way of measuring this, I guess, and paying for it, but what was our total cost to provide this service to the county last year?
I believe he said it was about $35,000.
Okay.
No, I correct myself. It's about $35,000 per grinding. No, I don't think he has more than $100,000 budgeted.
35,000 per grinding, and he has, he's ground how many times?
So far this year, I think twice. I'd have to ask him on that. They were out there today doing grinding work.
One of the things I think would be very obvious, if 507 is an hourly rate, it's definitely not going to equate to 625.
That's right.
And then if the next highest hourly rate is $1,500 an hour, we don't need McClam to hear that we're only paying $500, because next time they get ready to bid it, thank God it's for a 5-year renewal process.
And it just depends, like he said, you never know how much debris you're gonna get out there.
Yeah, do we have in our budget for that amount?
I'm not sure what he has in the budget right now. We'd have to look. I don't know.
Okay.
I texted him earlier. He said no more than $100,000 this year. I think they had more debris come in, of course, during the pandemic.
People doing work.
Well, as we prepare our next budget, we need to keep that in mind, I think, because one, right now, if we're required by the state to do it, $507 is our least hourly rate that we got the option of. So we need to make sure that our 507 is close. If not, when we get ready to do our next budget, I think that'd be the time we probably need to review whether we're putting enough money in there for that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we go with McClam and Associates, the cheaper the bid.
I second that.
All right, any additional discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution to amend guidelines for property rentals. Ms. Crystal Waldron.
This was presented to the Personnel and Intergovernmental Committee on November the 1st. There were several changes that were proposed to them based on staff's recommendation and our past experience with renting Helena and the community hall. Of course, the fairgrounds was taken out completely and anything related to the fairgrounds. We did increase the deposit for both facilities and the rental rates. The last resolution was in February of 12, and we also increased the setup fee, which is whether or not they need our assistance to set up or clean up after their event. Of course, the county does go in after each event if it's not back-to-back on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they don't go in on the weekends. But the rate for that increased from $25 to $35 an hour, and that's just a fee that we charge to them to assist with cleanup and or setup. And that's done by the custodial department or building maintenance. The rental for Helena, the deposit was $75 and the rental was $125. We increased the deposit to be, sorry, I don't have my glasses, $125, and the rental to go to $250 per day. And we don't typically book it, double book it in the same day. We only book it for one renter per day. And that was kind of confusing in the old resolution. The community hall, we increased the deposit, which was $125 to $200, and the rental for a full day was $350, and we increased that to $400. Those were the major changes, other than eliminating everything related to the fairgrounds property.
All right. Heard the explanations from Ms. Waldron regarding the property rentals. Any discussion on that? Do we have a motion to accept? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I do have some discussion if you want to go ahead and, if you ask for a motion first, then I'm going to ask that we table this, and I have several reasons for that. I'd like to table it for at least one meeting. There's some things that I think we need to look at as far as entities that rent these properties. If we've got nonprofit entities that do community service, I don't think that should be the same rental rate as somebody that wants to have a party. And I also don't think the county is in the business of renting properties for a profit, but we are in the business of we already own properties, so we need to manage that as best as possible. So I'd like to actually hear from the people that come in and clean up after these properties and find out, is there one property that requires more hours and more cleanup, more of the county's resources? I've just got some questions that I'm not ready to vote for or against this. I would just like a little more information. It's been to committee, and the committee can come out and provide us a lot more information, but I'd like to hear from, like, Irvin. I think Irvin and his crew come in behind some of these in the cleanup, and I'd like to know what the cleanup's like after the Rotary Club or preparation prior to it.
I don't think we charge for the Rotary setup or cleanup naturally, but
But we're raising their rate to $100.
I failed to say that,
If we
right.
don't do any setup or cleanup, they'd be better at $35 an hour because they use it for an hour.
Why would
understand.
they want to
Pay $100. I mean, I just think there's some things that it'd be nice to have a little more information. And I'd like to hear from Irvin West, who manages these properties. He prepares, he cleans up afterwards, and I've got a few questions for him.
And I would say the same thing. I was sitting here thinking that there's got to be a way we can help some of the legit community organizations. My hindrance is, in a previous life, I know that you can go declare yourself a nonprofit organization, get a one-day alcohol
But
and
you
beer
have to have a
permit.
501c3.
They can run that paperwork through the state and get themselves declared nonprofit, and then they're running a beer joint out of one of our facilities, and we're letting them have it for free. So there's got to be a medium line between there. There's got to be a way to help the legitimate people in our county who are doing great services while not opening ourselves to this kind of liability. So I'm 100% in agreement with you that there should be a way to do that.
I'm all for that.
And
I'm
they
not
are,
trying to-
I don't mean to interrupt, but they are currently still closed. We have not rented them since sometimes last year. That duty was the responsibility of me initially, and then it went to our previous employee who's no longer with the county. So that's still kind of in the air about whether or not, when we're going to open the facilities back up, so it may need to be discussed as well.
Like the JCs who were here before.
That's right,
Got to get
Jason.
it.
There's
They
some.
won't answer fairly quick. Somebody keeps calling me about it.
Mr. Toppiker?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to look at the draft of the resolution. Not every nonprofit is afforded that. It's under section 3, reduced use charges for established users, and it's limited to the Rotary Club, the Touchdown Club, and the Chamber of Commerce. So
Exactly.
not anybody who comes up that's a nonprofit that can get it. It's specifically those 3.
And I don't necessarily think it needs to be limited to those, Jay. That's why my question is. I think there are probably some other very good nonprofit organizations that could come to us that should be awarded the same consideration as those. But
Maybe like a request process or
Yeah.
something where they could be approved to do that.
Tony?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, and I mentioned this at the committee meeting when the committee met a week or two ago, but at this point, as Crystal indicated, the use has been pretty much stopped since COVID began. We are now beginning to get inquiries about the facility opening back up. In fact, I got 2, and coincidentally, the gentleman from the Rotary called me today. So that was a little unexpected with this being on the agenda, but he called me today and indicated that the Rotary is interested in restarting their meetings in early January. So we've got the Rotary wanting to get back in January. We've got the JCs, which I'd mentioned to the committee when you guys met before. The JCs have reserved it for the end of January, I think January 29th. So those are 2 groups that are interested in getting back in January. So we've got a little time to get
happen to
there.
mention to the Rotary Club that it may be a $100 charge per meeting.
I did mention that the issue was on the agenda tonight for the council's consideration, and that I would follow back up with them later in the week after the outcome of tonight's meeting to let him know what occurred.
When you're meeting twice a month, that's $200 out of Rotary's budget. We have some Rotary representation tonight, so I'm sure that's,
Now,
Maybe
they
not.
were meeting at the sheriff's office for a while, weren't they?
From what I understand, the
Still are,
Rotary
somebody said.
has been meeting at the sheriff's office and still is meeting there and have been doing that until the community hall opens back up.
And again, I'm not, Mr. Chairman and Mr. McDonald, I'm not complaining about anything that's been done. I just want to make sure we're not in the business of making money off of renting county property. We have a property that's available for the right purpose and the right people, and we need to make it available for the right price. So,
I guess a couple of things I want to just mention. I mean, I don't have a problem with what you're asking for, but one of the things that I will say, got to be very careful to guard against us being discriminatory, because when you go to making just random, okay, well, I think that's a good one. I mean, there's got to have to be some guidelines as to what is truly a good cause, I guess you could say, a 501c, whatever you want to use as, but there again, there are loopholes and some things around it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, to your point, the resolution we're voting on provides one facility to one group for nothing.
I agree with, that's what I'm saying, we
And
got to be
then
careful about
provides
the discriminatory
a
part,
different-
even in what we're talking about here.
So, you know,
The
there's
other
some
thing is if-
inconsistencies here. We need to make sure that,
But if you go to talking about a good rate, if any of you have tried to rent a thing for a birthday party or anything else.
That's what I was gonna say. This is an outstanding price.
It's a great
that's
price.
total different.
Yeah.
But it's a great price. We're not really making money when you consider what we're renting stuff for. I don't have a problem with us considering more details before we make a decision, but what we're charging, if you go to any of the venues and try to rent it for a birthday party, or anything else, this is a heck of a price for,
For a birthday party, you're absolutely right.
yeah. So anyway, with that being said, what are the wishes of council? You want to delay voting on this?
I would prefer that we table this until the next meeting and have Mr. West available to talk to us a little bit about setup and cleanup effort that requires on both facilities, all our facilities, and in the meantime, look at possibly reevaluating the wording in this resolution considering nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, I'd like, Mr. McDonald, and if you need Mr. Topiker to kind of look at some language that would be neutral in its nature, but would make clear our intent that we're looking for established, community-based 501(c)(3)s and not somebody who just got it last week, just to have something to get it for free so they could do their business there. Crystal, you know, I mean, that there's one particular facility that has been torn to shreds and everything else.
And that is the reason that we suggested raising the cost, because of the upkeep of both the facilities.
All right, so we will, all in favor of just delaying the vote on this? Okay. All right, item number 8, executive session, code section. Thanks, Crystal, for all your, since this was the Crystal show, thanks for all you did for preparing. Item number, and your team. Item number 8, executive session, code section 30-4-7, discussion of an employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee, a student, or a person regulated by the public body, or appointment of a person to a public body. However, if an adversary hearing involving the employee or client is held, the employee or client has the right to demand that hearing be conducted publicly. Nothing contained in this item shall prevent the public body in its discretion from deleting the names of other employees or clients whose records are submitted for use at the hiring. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Ms. Arrowood, second by Mr. Shealy. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, we'll be going into executive session. I guess we'll stay in here. Okay. All right, motion to come out of executive session,
I make a motion that we come out of executive
Second.
session.
second. All in favor? All right. Who wants to report out, please?
I'll report out, Mr. Chairman. County Council went into executive session under Code Section 30-4-70 Alpha 1. We had discussions under that code section, and I won't reread it. We read it to go out, and no action was taken.
All right, at this time, do we have any additional recommendations as a result of that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we authorize our county attorney and our consulting agency to finish contract negotiations consistent with what we talked with them about, and that we offer the position of county administrator to Christopher Iglesias.
All right, you heard the motion by Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Shealy. Any discussion? All in favor? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to, at least for purposes of those that may be watching or reading the summary of this, I'd like to recognize Mr. Pope for the excellent work he's done, he and his firm, in assisting county council in providing us numerous candidates under which to choose from. Also, we have interviewed several candidates, all who were qualified, and we were faced with the selection of one candidate, which we did after that interview process, where we interviewed multiple qualified candidates. And so, anyway, we feel like the person that we have selected is the right fit for Newberry County at the right time. And so I feel like we needed that discussion point made for those that are listening, that we employed those services, we were given proper candidates, and we did the best job we could to choose the right candidate.
I guess, and then before we take a vote, based on our press release that just went out, it's a very small synopsis. We'll have a more introductory statement at a later time. But just a small introductory statement. Christopher Iglesias has over 20 years of experience in public administration, urban planning, local governmental law, and currently serves as Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Georgetown, South Carolina. So that's a very brief description of probably about a 10-page resume that he presented to us that we had to work with. But just, again, it's a very small narrative of advertisement of what's to come.
We certainly want to get the other out, has extensive background in planning, strategic planning, and also is a certified attorney, bar certified attorney. So brings a lot to the table, and we're really excited to have it.
All right, now with that, all in favor of that recommendation? It is unanimous. Christopher, I doubt you're listening, but, you know, again, welcome to Newberry County, my friend. All right, do we have any additional appointments? Do we have any public comments? I don't think anybody had signed up. Comments from the county administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one item. This is a reminder that on Monday of next week, Monday the 22nd at 6 p.m., you have your second meeting to talk about the priorities for projects for the capital project sales tax referendum. So you had your introductory meeting a couple of weeks ago. This will be your second, and hopefully we'll get into more detail at that point and begin to get some direction from you. But that is Monday, the 22nd at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
And it's going to be here.
Okay, comments or requests from council members? Mr. Scurry, we'll start on your end today.
Oh, thank all council. Do thank Parker Pope for his expertise in our working with council and our attorney and our interim councilman, our interim county administrator. God bless you for working with us. and our whole staff, thank y'all for standing by our side, especially all the council during our struggling. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Reeder did something very important tonight. It was his dad's birthday, and I don't know whether many of you know Mr. Reeder, but Mr. Reeder is, how old is Mr. Reeder? Anyway, he's been kind of a legend in our community, but his dad's birthday, so they were going out, and I told him, you know, you never know how many more years you're gonna have with your dad, so I consider that very just cause. He did call and say he would not be here for that reason, and again, family, family, family. Mr. Johnson?
Just very excited about Christopher, so appreciative of the services that you have provided us. You made our decision difficult, and so we're grateful for that. I also like to say the working together, the cooperation felt on this council to have to sit there and go through this was just amazing, and so I'm appreciative to each one of you all for that. And then the sheriff had asked me earlier they have the 5 employees still battling different serious illnesses, and asked that we could keep them in our prayers. And certainly Miss Arrowwood's daughters continue to be covered in our prayers, but thanking God for a miracle in her situation.
Yes.
Miss Arrowwood?
Yeah, my daughter just came out of ICU yesterday and has got a long road ahead of her, so please do keep her in your prayers. And like Mr. Johnson said, the officers of the Sheriff's Department and others. Thank you, Tony, for helping us fill in, and the admin office. I'd like to thank them for stretching it thin sometimes during the trial of trying to find an administrator. And again, thank you, Milton, for all your services, that you made it a lot easier by bringing us qualified people.
Mr. Hill?
I'd already said a few things, but yes, certainly, thanks to Mr. McDonald for being an excellent interim administrator. Thanks to the staff that are here tonight and the ones that aren't here tonight because they've had to do extra duty, extra hours to cover for not only the lack of a permanent administrator, but also we have other vacant positions that they've had to step up and do duties that are outside their normal workload. Appreciate all of that staff doing that. We hope with the hiring of a permanent administrator that we will stabilize things and we can fill in those vacant positions with qualified people and get Newberry County back on track the way it ought to be and the way it's been in the past. And so anyway, I think we have a bright future ahead of Newberry County with some of the hires that we're making, and appreciate the staff and everybody.
Okay, Mr. Shealy?
I echo the sentiments, so appreciate your work, Tony, while you've been here. Milton, thanks for all your diligent work and helping us find the right candidate. Jay, thank you for everything you've been helping assist with. And all of the county employees, thank you for all y'all have done, and hopefully we're working for you to help you to make Newberry get back where we need to be. Praying for everybody sick, shut in, hope everybody gets better over this holiday coming up. Just keep everybody in your prayers.
Okay. Based on what I heard, is we got a good team, everybody working together. And again, this is the first time all of us, or any of us, have actually worked on a hiring of a new county administrator. And I just want to commend everybody on being here, working through it, talking to, again, just what you said from the standpoint of the team out here that helped bring this person in, to bring people in. Thank y'all. Other things that just, this really is important now, but as we pointed out, Mary's daughter, we had a 4-year-old shot, I think, in the community recently, accidentally. Those things are much more heart-wrenching than some of the decisions and tough than what we had. Thanks to our law enforcement and all the people who had to go out and expose themselves to that kind of stuff. I know that's got to be a gut-wrenching situation. Also, one of the other things that just recently happened, and I say this because I know this guy kind of like Mr. Reeder, Mr. George Connard, who was a principal at Mid Carolina High School, recently passed away. And again, I don't know, I bet you if you took a population poll out there of how many people in this county of 40,000, I'll bet you he had touched the lives of probably at least 50 or 60% of us. So maybe not touch the lives, might even touch the rear ends of, because I mean, and I don't mean that the wrong way. I'm talking about with the paddle, and I'm one of them. So, but a man that I've got the greatest respect for, he led Mid Carolina High School through the years of integration very effectively, and just was such a fair man. So keep his family in thoughts and prayers and all those lives that he touched, because if you look at Facebook, he's got a lot of positive comments out there from a lot of people. And you know, again, prayers for all the sick, but especially that little 4-year-old. Future meetings, capital project sales tax priorities, 11/22. Special call council meeting on 12/1. That is redistricting. And then a county council meeting on 12/1/21 at 6 p.m., which is a normal council meeting. And then the next one is 12/15/21. Folks, we're into a new year at that point in time. It's amazing. Just because of being here now, I will not be here for the 12/1 meeting. I am on the executive board of South Carolina Association of Counties, and that is the South Carolina Association of Counties meeting time, and I will be out for the first, second, and third for that meeting. So just want to let people know where I'm going to be and why I won't be here. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Ms. Arrowood.
Dismiss us in your deepest George Harvey kind of voice.
I agree that this meeting is now adjourned.